Rank 1 aviation candidate. You don't even have a uniform yet. You're sitting in a waiting room that smells like cleaning product and anxiety. Around you are 200 other people who all think they're going to be fighter pilots. Most of them are wrong. You filled out the application 6 months ago. You passed the written tests, the medical exams, the psychological evaluations. They checked your eyes 3 times. They asked you questions designed to make you contradict yourself. You didn't. Now you're here for the final selection week, and the people running this thing have seen 1,000 versions of you walk through that door. The first day is physical. You run, you swim, you do tests that aren't about fitness, they're about how you respond when your body is screaming and someone is yelling in your face. The second day is academic, math, physics, spatial reasoning at speed. The third day is a simulator. You've never flown before. That's fine. They are not testing skill. They're testing how fast you learn and how calm you stay when everything goes wrong at once. By day 5, half the room is gone. Some left on their own. Some were asked to leave. You're still here. Someone hands you a folder. You're in. Somewhere in your chest, something shifts. You don't celebrate. Not yet. You've just earned the right to start. Rank 2 officer cadet. The base is nothing like you imagined. It's loud, cold in the mornings, and the schedule is printed on a sheet of paper that runs from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. with no gaps. Your instructors are not cruel. They are simply completely indifferent to your comfort. Ground school comes first. Weeks of it. Aerodynamics, meteorology, navigation, aircraft systems, emergency procedures. You sit in classrooms and fill notebooks. At night you study the same material again because the tests are not forgiving. You fail one. You retake it. You pass. You do not fail another one. Then the first flight. A training aircraft. Small, slow by the standards of what's coming. But nothing feels small when you're in it for the first time. Your instructor sits behind you. He says very little. The aircraft lifts off the runway and your brain tries to process what your body is feeling. The ground drops away. The world tilts. You are doing it. Over the following months you learn to take off, to land, to navigate by instruments alone with the windows blacked out. You learn what happens when an engine fails and how to respond before the panic gets in. You make mistakes. You debrief every flight in a room where your mistakes are replayed out loud and analyzed without mercy. This is how you get better. The night before your solo flight, you don't sleep much. In the morning, your instructor gets out of the plane, says one sentence, "Don't crash it," and walks away. You taxi to the runway alone. You take off alone. You complete the circuit alone. You land. The wheels touch down and you realize your hands are shaking slightly. You've been flying the whole time and didn't notice. Rank 3 second lieutenant. The day you receive your wings is one of the quietest moments of your life so far, not because it's boring, but because you feel the weight of it. Someone pins something small to your chest and the room applauds and you think about how many hours of work are sitting behind that tiny piece of metal. You are now a qualified pilot. You are also, immediately, the least experienced person in every room you walk into. Your first posting is to an operational training unit. This is where you transition from training aircraft to the real thing, the fighter jet. The first time you walk out to it on the flight line and see it up close, you understand why people spend their whole lives trying to get here. It is not a machine that looks gentle. It looks like it was designed for one purpose only. The transition course is months long. You learn the aircraft systems in layers, first in the classroom, then in the simulator, then in the air. The simulator is harder than you expected. It's designed to kill you repeatedly in ways the real aircraft would never tolerate, so that when something goes wrong in the real aircraft, your hands already know what to do. Your first flight in the fighter is alone in the sense that no instructor is with you, but you have a chase plane flying nearby and a controller talking to you on the radio. You go through the checklist. The engine starts with a sound you feel in your ribcage. The aircraft rolls forward and accelerates, and then you are in the air in something with 3 times the thrust-to-weight ratio of anything you've flown before. Everything happens faster. You are behind the aircraft for the first 2 minutes. By minute 5, you're starting to catch up. By minute 15, something clicks. Rank for flying officer. Your first operational squadron. You are a wingman. This means your job is to fly beside someone more experienced. Follow instructions exactly. Keep position. Clear their tail. And not make any decision that wasn't authorized. Some people find this frustrating. The smart ones understand it completely. Every mission begins with a briefing. Your flight lead stands at the front of the room and walks through every detail, the route, the threats, the frequencies, the rules of engagement. You take notes. You ask 2 questions. Both are good questions. You walk away understanding every part of what you're about to do. The flying at this rank is intense. You practice air-to-air combat. You practice ground attack. You practice formation flying in conditions that are not comfortable, close formation in cloud, night flying with no moon, low-level runs across terrain that gives you very little margin for error. You are always being watched and evaluated. Everything is recorded. After flights, the debrief is unsparing. Your flight lead will tell you exactly what you did wrong, in what order, with timestamps. You don't take this personally. You take notes. You go home and think about it. You come back the next day and fly better. Slowly, you start to feel the aircraft becoming part of you. The instruments start to read themselves in your peripheral vision without you consciously checking them. Your radio calls become tighter. Your formation position becomes precise. You stop flying the aircraft and start thinking through it. Rank 5 Flight Lieutenant. Promotion doesn't announce itself with fireworks. One day someone tells you that you've been selected as a flight lead, and you realize the job has changed entirely. You used to be responsible for one aircraft and one pilot, yourself. Now you are responsible for everything. Flight leads plan the mission. You design the route, select the weapons load, assign roles, write the brief, and then stand at the front of the room and deliver it. If something goes wrong in the air, you make the call. If your wingman has a problem, you manage it. If the mission changes mid-flight, new target, new threat, new weather, you adapt in real time while still flying an aircraft at speed. You begin to teach. New wingmen come into the squadron and you are assigned to develop them. You fly alongside them and watch the same mistakes you made and correct them with the same patience your flight lead showed you. You start to understand that the job is not just flying anymore, it is producing other pilots. The missions at this rank carry real consequence. You may be authorized to carry live weapons. You will train in scenarios that simulate actual combat as closely as possible. You will fly at night at low level with your cockpit lit only by instrument glow and know that the margin between a perfect run and disaster is measured in seconds. You will do this calmly, because calm is what you have trained for. On the days when everything comes together, your formation precise, the radio calls clean, the target acquired and destroyed in the simulator with perfect timing, you feel a satisfaction that is almost impossible to describe. You have been doing this for years. You are good at it. That is not arrogance. That is evidence. Rank 6 Squadron Leader. At this point, your logbook is thick. You have hundreds of hours in the fighter. You have led dozens of missions. The aircraft no longer surprises you. What surprises you now is the administrative weight that comes with rank. As a major or squadron leader, you are responsible for a section of the squadron. You manage pilots, monitor readiness, review training records, sit in meetings that would have bored you senseless 5 years ago. You understand now that these meetings keep people alive. A training shortfall that goes unnoticed is an accident waiting to happen. The paperwork is not paperwork. It is the skeleton of a safe operation. You are also now a subject matter expert. Junior pilots come to you with questions about tactics, about aircraft limits, about what to do in situations the manual doesn't cover. You give them answers, but more often you give them a better question to ask themselves. That's what good experience does. It teaches you what to look for, not just what to do. Your flying is still regular. You are required to maintain currency, a minimum number of flight hours, specific mission types, weapons qualifications. You don't treat this as a checkbox. You treat it as the most important part of the job, because the day you stop flying is the day the knowledge starts to decay. At this rank, you may be selected for advanced schools, weapons instructor courses, exchange postings with Allied Air Forces, test pilot programs. Each one is a door into a smaller and smaller room of people who are very serious about what they do. Rank 7 Wing Commander. Command. You have 20 pilots under your name. You have aircraft worth hundreds of millions sitting on your flight line. You have a budget, a training schedule, a readiness rate to maintain, a relationship with higher headquarters to manage, and a team of people whose careers you have a direct hand in shaping. The squadron commander flies. You insist on it, not because you need to prove anything, but because a commander who doesn't fly loses the credibility to lead flyers. When you walk into a debrief and critique a junior pilot's decision-making, you need them to know you would make that decision differently, not because you read it in a manual, but because you've been in that cockpit. The weight of command is different from the weight of flying. When you fly, you manage risk to yourself and your wingman. When you command, you manage risk to everyone. A bad decision in planning, a missed warning sign in a pilot's performance, a training program that has a gap you didn't catch. These things don't just cause accidents. They end lives and end careers and send families messages they were never supposed to receive. You take this seriously, every day. The rewards are also real. You watch pilots come into the squadron uncertain and leave it sharp and confident. You see a junior flight lead execute a complex mission exactly the way you trained them, and you feel something close to pride. You build a culture, the way the squadron talks in the briefing room, the standards it holds itself to, the tone of the debrief. That culture outlasts you. It keeps people alive after you've moved on. Rank 8 Group Captain. You are now responsible for multiple squadrons. The flying is less frequent. The decisions are larger. You spend more time in conference rooms than cockpits, and you have made your peace with that because the work at this level shapes things on a scale that cockpit time cannot reach. You manage aircraft readiness across the wing. If a fleet-wide technical issue grounds aircraft, you are the one on the phone with engineers and headquarters at 3 a.m. finding a solution. If a squadron is underperforming on readiness metrics, you go in and find out why, and not by reading a report, but by talking to the pilots and the maintainers and the operations staff. You deal with allied forces. You sit in joint planning sessions and represent your service. You negotiate training access, airspace arrangements, combined tactics. The world of military aviation is more international than most people realize, and at this level you move through it constantly. Your reputation has been built over decades. People know your name before they meet you. Junior pilots have heard stories about your career, some accurate, some not. You don't correct the inaccurate ones if they're useful. Reputation is a tool like any other. You still care about the flying. You still read accident reports from other air forces. You still think about tactics. But your primary job now is to create conditions in which other people can do the flying well and come home. Rank 9 Air Commodore. You have crossed into the general officer ranks. This is where most people's careers end, and where a very small number of people's real influence begins. At this level you are not managing squadrons. You are shaping force structure, acquisition programs, training policy, doctrine. The aircraft you fly in today will be replaced by aircraft that are currently being designed, and your job includes deciding what those aircraft need to do, what they need to survive, and what they will cost. These decisions last 30 years. The staffs around you are large and capable. You rely on them. A general who doesn't listen to staff is a general who makes decisions based on insufficient information. And in this business, insufficient information kills people. You know how to delegate. You know how to ask the right questions. You know when to make the call and when to wait 24 hours. You still carry the identity of a fighter pilot. It never leaves you. In meetings with civilians, with politicians, with contractors, you are the person in the room who has sat in a cockpit at 40,000 feet going faster than sound and made a decision that mattered. That is not something you say out loud. It is simply something you know. Rank 10 Air Marshal. At the top of the structure, the job is no longer about aviation in any specific operational sense. It is about national security, political relationships, budgets that affect the entire armed forces, and decisions that will define what your nation's air power looks like for a generation. You sit in rooms with heads of government. You testify before committees. You represent your service internationally, and your word, when you give it, carries the weight of thousands of people and billions of dollars behind it. And yet, on the quiet days, when the schedule allows, you think about a runway in the early morning, the smell of jet fuel, the sound of an engine winding up, the way the world looked from 30,000 feet when you were 24 years old and had just gone supersonic for the first time and thought that nothing in life could possibly be better than this. You were right, nothing was better, and everything since has been about making sure the next generation gets that moment too.